Overwhelmingly demanded changes be made to the rules and regulations for the Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission at recent hearings. They want to keep with the intent, they say, of the initiative.
At today's meeting, the commissioners didn't stray from what they've had already approved. Brenna Kiefner is live in the newsroom with what they decided today. Brenna.
Brian and Aaron, voters thought a lot of this would have been buttoned up by now, but the October deadline passed with few licenses issued. The commission is allowing 4 growers of medical cannabis in Nebraska, but so far has only issued 2 licenses. Commissioners ordered them to attend the January meeting so they can let everyone know how the process is going. The commissioners say they'll wait until then to decide on how to proceed with the licenses and applications for the manufacturers, distributors, and dispensaries. Now, some members of the public today argued that the commission needs to allow more parts of the plant to be used and allow it to be smoked or vaped. But commissioners, they're not budging right now. With the commission's next meeting set for December 2nd, advocates are hopeful that their voices will be heard and that future decisions will better reflect the will of Nebraska voters. And we'll have more for you from that meeting tonight at 6. In the newsroom, Brenna Kiefner, First Alert 6.
Brenna, thank you.